The 3 moons of Zelthor cast an eerie purple glow across the royal gardens, where Samantha stood watching the alien sky with wonder in her eyes. Her blonde hair danced in the gentle breeze as she admired the crystalline architecture of the palace that housed the 7 princesses of the Virillian Empire. As the only human ambassador assigned to this distant world, Samantha felt out of place among the tall, elegant Virillians with their shimmering scales and luminescent eyes. Yet she had grown, fond of her diplomatic post, especially her friendship with Princess Xylara, the youngest of the royal siblings. The Virillian people towered over humans, their slender bodies reaching heights of 7 feet or more. Their skin featured delicate scales that changed color with their emotions, and they moved with a grace that made Samantha feel clumsy by comparison. Despite their intimidating appearance, the Virillians were a peaceful species who valued art knowledge and harmony above all else. Samantha had been sent to their world as part of an exchange program between Earth and the Galactic Alliance. Most species viewed humans as primitive newcomers to interstellar society, barely worth notice. But Samantha knew her species had qualities that others lacked. Humans were adaptable, resourceful, and possessed an inner strength that came from their harsh evolutionary path. A soft voice interrupted her thoughts. Princess Xylara approached, her scales shifting to a friendly blue-shade ambassador. "Samantha, I hope to find you here." The princess gestured to the night sky. "Soon we celebrate the alignment of the 3 moons. It happens only once every 30 cycles." Samantha smiled at the young princess, who had become something of a friend during her 6-month stay. "I would be honored to attend, Your Highness," she replied with the formal bow that protocol demanded when in public. Though the two had developed a friendship, royal etiquette still had to be maintained, especially with palace guards. Watching from a distance, Xylara glanced around, then whispered, "My sisters wish to meet you privately before the ceremony. They have questions about Earth that the official records do not answer." She looked embarrassed. "Many still believe humans are too aggressive to be trusted, but I have told them you are different." The news surprised Samantha. The other princesses had kept their distance since her arrival, treating her with polite formality, but nothing more. The eldest princess, Thorina, openly disapproved of human inclusion in galactic affairs, while the warrior sister, Princess Ilara, studied humans with suspicious fascination. "I would be happy to meet with them," Samantha replied diplomatically. Though she felt a twinge of nervousness, Xylara led her through winding crystal corridors that amplified the soft music played by unseen musicians. The palace itself seemed alive, shimmering with energy harvested from the planet core. The diplomatic quarters Samantha occupied were luxurious by human standards, but modest compared to the royal wing they now entered. The 6 princesses waited in a circular chamber, its ceiling open to the 3 moons. They sat on cushions arranged around a low table laden with exotic fruits and steaming beverages. Princess Thorina, the eldest, rose as they entered, her scales a reserved shade of purple. "Ambassador, we appreciate your willingness to speak with us," Thorina began formally. "Though some may question human readiness for galactic citizenship, recent events have prompted us to reconsider." Her voice carried the weight of authority that came with being heir to the Virillian throne. Samantha bowed respectfully. "I am honored by your invitation." "Your Highness." Princess Ilara, the military commander, leaned forward, her scales rippling with intensity. "Tell us, Ambassador, is it true that humans once fought wars among themselves over territory and resources?" The question felt like a trap, but Samantha answered honestly. "Yes, Your Highness. Our history includes many conflicts, but we have evolved beyond that savagery. We now channel our protective instincts toward positive goals." The princesses exchanged glances, communicating in that silent way. Virillians could. A sister, named Maitha, known for her scientific brilliance, asked, "Yet your species still trains for combat. You yourself have military training, do you not?" Samantha nodded. "We believe in preparation. Should the Alliance face threats, we wish to contribute to its defense. The universe contains many dangers, as your own security forces acknowledge." Before any princess could respond, an alarm shattered the peaceful atmosphere. Red lights pulsed throughout the chamber. A voice boomed through hidden speakers. Planetary defense breach in Sector 7. Royal security protocol activated. The princesses rose as one, their scales shifting to alarmed orange princess. Tharina moved to a control panel embedded in the wall. Her fingers danced across the surface, bringing up holographic displays. Security. Reports show multiple ships have penetrated our outer defenses. She announced, her voice steady despite the emergency. They bear Dracor signatures. Samantha felt her blood run cold. The Dracor were a warlike reptilian species known for their brutality. They had remained outside Alliance territory for decades, engaged in their own civil conflicts. Why would they attack the peaceful Virillian homeworld now? The palace shook as something struck nearby. The power flickered, plunging them into momentary darkness. When the lights returned, Princess Alara stood with a ceremonial weapon in hand. We must reach the secure bunker. She declared, the Royal Guard will. Another explosion cut her off closer this time. Fragments of crystal rained from the ceiling. Samantha reacted instinctively, pulling Princess Alara away from a falling shard chancellor. Vex appears on a security feed. Princess Tharina called out, shock evident in her voice. He disables the internal defenses. He betrays us through the window. Samantha saw ships descending toward the palace, their design unmistakably Dracor. With horror, she realized this was no random attack, but a carefully planned invasion, targeting the royal family. We cannot reach the bunker now, Princess Alara declared. The main corridors are compromised. We are trapped. Samantha recalled her security briefings, including palace schematics she had studied out of human caution rather than necessity. Your Highnesses, she said with sudden authority. I know another way. Out we must move quickly. The princesses turned to her with surprise, but as another explosion rocked the palace, even Princess Tharina nodded. Follow the human, she commanded her sisters. Samantha led the 7 princesses through a servant's passage hidden behind an ornamental tapestry. The narrow corridor, dimly lit by emergency lights, forced the tall Virillians to crouch uncomfortably. Samantha, however, moved with confidence, her smaller human frame an advantage in the tight space. We must reach the garden level, she explained, keeping her voice low. There is access to the maintenance tunnels beneath the main fountain. Those tunnels connect to the shuttle bay on the east side. Princess. Tharina looked skeptical. How do you know of these passages, Ambassador? They are not included in diplomatic briefings. Samantha gave a small smile. I studied all available information about the palace, including structural designs, human instinct. Your Highness. We prepare for contingencies. Crash echoed from behind them. Princess Alara, who took the rear position, whispered, They have breached the royal chambers. We must move faster. The group hurried through the passage, emerging into the darkened garden. The 3 moons provided minimal illumination as clouds had gathered overhead. Princess Maitha stumbled, her eyes not adapted to the low-light conditions. Samantha caught her arm, steadying the tall alien Virillians evolved under bright binary. Suns, Princess Zylara explained to Samantha. Their eyesight was excellent in daylight but poor in darkness. It was a vulnerability few outsiders knew about, and one the Dracor seemed to be exploiting. Ahead, the main fountain stood silent, its usual. Musical waters shut down by the emergency protocols. Samantha led them to its base and pressed a specific sequence of decorative crystals embedded in the stonework. Nothing happened. She frowned, trying again. The system should recognize the emergency. Override. Princess Maitha stepped forward. Our technology is partially telepathic, she explained, placing her 6-fingered hand beside Samantha's. The crystals recognize royal DNA but require conscious intent. Together, they pressed the sequence again. This time the ground shifted, revealing a narrow spiral staircase leading downward. Samantha motioned for the princesses to descend quickly as the sound of Dracor troops grew closer. One by one, the royal sisters entered the passage with Samantha. Taking the rear position, she sealed the entrance just as reptilian shadows moved across the garden. The maintenance tunnel stretched ahead, illuminated only by faint emergency strips along the floor. The princesses moved awkwardly, their biology not designed for the cramped conditions. The air grew thin as they progressed deeper into the tunnel network. Princess Matha began to wheeze, her respiratory system struggling. Samantha removed a small device from her pocket and accessed the environmental controls, increasing oxygen flow to their current position. "How did you know to do that?" Princess Tharina asked, her voice tinged with newfound respect. "Humans prepare for contingencies," Samantha replied. Continuing forward, "I studied your life support systems as part of my orientation." She did not add that such thorough preparation was considered unusual, even among human diplomats. Her military background had taught her that knowledge meant survival. They followed the labyrinth of passages guided by Samantha's perfect recall of the security maps. The tunnels occasionally branched, each junction marked with Virillian symbols that the princesses translated when needed. A deep rumble shook the tunnel, dust and small crystals raining down from above. "They are bombing the eastern sector." Princess Ilara realized. "That is where the shuttle bay is located. They know we would try to escape that way." Samantha considered this information. The Dracor commander was intelligent, targeting obvious escape routes. But perhaps there was an alternative. The maintenance tunnels had been designed with multiple exit points. "There is a secondary bay," she said, recalling a detail from her studies, "used for service vehicles and supplies. It is smaller, less obvious. A damaged fighter might have been moved there for repairs." Princess Ilara nodded. "Those bays would house the personal transport vessels. Not as fast as military shuttles, but capable of reaching orbit as." They changed direction, heading toward the secondary bay. Princess Ilara moved closer to Samantha. "Why would the Chancellor betray us?" she asked, her voice barely audible. The question had clearly been troubling her since they fled. Samantha considered what she knew of Virillian politics. Chancellor Vex had opposed alliance with humans from the beginning, arguing that Earth cultures were too unpredictable, too violent to be trusted. "I cannot say for certain, Your Highness. But there have been rumors that the Chancellor has connections to isolationist factions. Those who believe Virillian purity must be preserved at all costs." Princess Tharina, who overheard, joined the conversation. "The Dracor would never honor any agreement with Vex," she said bitterly. "He has doomed our people for his prejudice." They continued in tense silence until reaching a security door that blocked their path to the secondary bay. Samantha examined the locking mechanism. The Dracor had already overridden the primary systems, but she noticed something the aliens had missed: an analog override designed as a failsafe. The princesses watched in amazement as Samantha manipulated the manual controls, working with tools that seemed primitive compared to Virillian technology. Yet her approach worked, the door sliding open to reveal the secondary bay beyond, but their path to freedom was blocked. 4 Dracor warriors stood between them and the available shuttles, their reptilian bodies encased in battle armor, weapons held ready. The aliens turned at the sound of the opening door, their slitted eyes widening at the sight of the royal sisters. The princesses froze in terror, their species evolutionarily programmed to become immobile when confronted with apex predators. It was a response that had protected their ancestors in ancient times, allowing them to blend with crystalline formations on their homeworld, but now it left them vulnerable. Samantha, however, faced no such biological limitation. Her heart pounded, but her mind remained clear, analyzing the situation with military precision. The Dracor relied primarily on heat signatures and movement. Their weapons, though powerful, required a brief recharge between energy bursts. She noticed maintenance tools mounted on the wall nearby. Without hesitation, she grabbed a metal rod and threw it far to the left. The Dracor fired at the sound, their attention momentarily diverted. In that split second, Samantha charged forward, sliding beneath their line of fire. The first warrior fell as she struck at the sensitive scales beneath his knee. The second turned too slowly, his weapon still recharging, as she delivered a precise blow to his neural cluster. Samantha had studied Dracor physiology during her military training, knowledge that now saved her life and the lives of the princesses. The third warrior managed to fire, grazing Samantha's arm with an energy pulse. She gasped at the burning pain, but continued her attack, using the Dracor's momentum against him. The final enemy raised his communicator to call for reinforcements, but Princess Ilara, suddenly breaking free from her biological freeze, struck with unexpected speed. her ceremonial weapon proving deadly effective. The 4 Dracor lay defeated. Samantha stood breathing heavily, her arm throbbing. With pain, Princess Xylera rushed to her side, concern evident in her luminescent eyes. "You are injured," the princess said, applying a healing crystal to the wound. The Virillian medical device immediately cooled the burn and began accelerating tissue. "Regeneration, we must hurry," Samantha urged. "There will be more coming." The princesses nodded, following her toward the nearest shuttle. The shuttle bay housed 3 small transport vessels designed for planetary travel, rather than deep space exploration. Samantha quickly assessed each craft, selecting the one that appeared most recently maintained. Its sleek crystal and metal hull gleamed even in the dim emergency lighting. Princess Tharina hesitated at the entrance. "This vessel cannot outrun Dracor warships," she observed. "It lacks both speed and defensive capabilities." Samantha nodded, understanding the concern. "But they will. Expect us to take a military craft. Those will be tracked most carefully. This transport is registered to the Botanical Gardens staff." Ordinary overlooked, Princess Ilara studied Samantha with new respect. For a species considered primitive, humans demonstrated remarkable tactical thinking. The warrior princess activated the entry ramp, allowing her sisters to board first. Inside, the craft was designed for Virillian comfort, with tall acceleration couches and crystalline control interfaces. The cockpit featured a wraparound view screen currently showing the closed bay doors above them. Samantha took the pilot seat, surprising the princess's ambassador. "You can operate Virillian technology?" Princess Matha asked, with scientific curiosity. Samantha placed her hands on the control crystals, which glowed in response. "I received basic flight training on your systems," she explained. "My hands lack the extra finger your species possesses, but the neural interface compensates." She did not mention the hours she had spent in simulators preparing for various emergency scenarios. Another human contingency. The shuttle hummed to life systems activating under her touch. Samantha checked the fuel cells, finding them at 80% capacity adequate. For their needs, she accessed the bay door controls but found them locked down. "The Dracor have overridden the commands," she informed the princesses. "But there should be." An explosion interrupted her, rocking the shuttle. The sound of weapons fire echoed. Through the bay, Princess Xylera looked through a side viewport. "More Dracor forces have arrived," she reported. "They are attempting to breach the inner doors." Samantha considered their options. The bay doors above remained sealed, preventing their escape, but the emergency protocols of the palace included contingencies for structural damage. She made a quick decision, accessing the shuttle's weapon systems. Basic, but functional. "Hold tight," she warned, aiming the shuttle's forward pulse cannon at the ceiling, directly above them. The princesses secured themselves as Samantha fired 3 concentrated bursts. The bay doors, weakened by the previous bombing, cracked, then shattered, creating an opening to the night sky. More Dracor troops poured into the bay. Firing at the shuttle, Samantha engaged thrusters, pushing the vessel upward through the improvised exit. The craft shuddered as energy bolts struck its underside, but the shields held long enough for them to clear the palace. The night sky of Zelthor opened before them, stars partially obscured by smoke rising from the damaged palace. Below them, the once beautiful crystal spires now burned with unnatural fire. Samantha kept the shuttle low, using the forested hills as cover while she plotted their course. "Where are we going?" Princess Tharina asked, her tone once again regal, despite their circumstances. Samantha checked the navigation system. The main spaceport will be under Dracor control by now, but there is a research outpost in the northern mountains. They maintain a long-range communication array. We can contact the Alliance fleet from there. As if in response to her words, the shuttle's sensors chimed, warning of pursuit craft. Princess Ilara moved to the tactical station. 2 Dracor fighters. Approaching from the south, she reported. They will intercept in 3 minutes. Samantha pushed the transport to its limits, diving into a narrow canyon where the larger Dracor ships would struggle to follow. The shuttle scraped against stone walls, sending vibrations through the hull, but remained intact. The pursuing fighters were forced to climb higher, losing visual contact temporarily. Princess Maitha accessed the communication systems attempting to send a distress signal. The Dracor are jamming all standard frequencies, she announced, but there might be another way. She turned to Samantha. Your communication device, the one you used in the tunnels. May I see it? Samantha handed over her personal communicator, a standard issue device. Given to all human diplomats, Princess Maitha examined it with interest. Human technology was considered crude by galactic standards, yet it operated on principles different from Virillian systems. The princess connected the human device to the shuttle's communication array using crystal adapters. Your technology uses different carrier waves, she explained, working quickly. Older, simpler, but the Dracor may not think to jam them. While Maitha worked on communications, Samantha continued their evasive flight. The research outpost appeared on their sensors, a collection of dome structures nestled in a mountain valley. Unfortunately, so did the Dracor fighters, now closing rapidly. We cannot outrun them, Princess Alara stated. The transport lacks the necessary speed. Samantha studied the terrain ahead, noting a peculiar feature of Virillian geology. The crystal forests that dominated the northern hemisphere created unusual electromagnetic fields. These fields interfered with certain types of sensors, especially those used by the Dracor. If we can reach the crystal forest, she told the princesses, their sensors will struggle to track us. The downside is, so will ours. We will need to navigate visually. Princess, Xylara moved forward, looking concerned. That area is dangerous. The crystal formations can grow suddenly, piercing anything that passes too close. They respond to sound and vibration. A perfect natural defense, Samantha replied, changing course toward the glittering forest ahead. The shuttle rocked as energy weapons grazed their shields. The Dracor were within firing range. Princess Alara took control of the defensive systems, returning fire with the shuttle's limited weapons. Her shots forced one pursuing craft to veer away, but the second continued its pursuit. They would not reach the crystal forest before being overtaken. Samantha made a split-second decision. Cut all non-essential power, she ordered. Everything except thrusters and life support. The princesses complied, though confusion showed on their faces. As power drained from the shuttle, its heat signature diminished. Now she continued, reduce thruster output to minimum. We will glide the rest of the way. The pursuing Dracor fighter overshot them, momentarily confused by their disappearing signature. Samantha used this advantage to slip the shuttle into the edge of the crystal forest. The massive formations rose around them like frozen lightning bolts, catching the moonlight and fracturing it into rainbow patterns. Through that gap there, Samantha whispered, pointing to a narrow passage between crystal towers. The shuttle barely fit, scraping its sides as they passed deeper into the forest. Behind them, the Dracor fighter attempted to follow, but came too fast. Its wings clipped a crystal formation, sending it spinning into a larger cluster. The resulting explosion sent shockwaves through the forest, causing crystals to grow rapidly in response. The path ahead closed as new formations shot upward. Samantha guided the shuttle through the ever-changing maze using instinct more than skill. The princesses remained silent, understanding that sound would trigger more crystal growth. Finally, they emerged into a small clearing where the research outpost stood, surrounded by protective fields that kept the crystals at bay. Samantha brought the shuttle down on a landing pad as facility lights activated in response to their arrival. Scientists and researchers emerged from the main dome, surprised by the unexpected visitors. Princess Tharina stepped from the shuttle, her royal presence immediately recognized. The lead researcher, a Virillian elder, bowed deeply. Your Highness, what brings you to our remote facility? The capital has fallen to Dracor forces, Tharina explained. We must contact the Alliance fleet immediately. The researcher looked shocked but quickly led them to the communication center. Unlike the palace, this facility utilized multiple redundant systems, some ancient by Virillian standards. Princess Maitha connected Samantha's device to the array, boosting its signal strength. This should bypass the jamming, she explained. Samantha composed a brief encrypted message using military protocols that would identify her to human vessels within the Alliance fleet. She included their location, the nature of the attack and the involvement of Chancellor Vex in the betrayal. After verification, the message was sent via multiple frequencies. "Now we wait," she told the princesses. "The nearest Alliance vessels should receive our transmission within the hour. But the Dracor will be searching for us. We should prepare defenses." The research outpost was not designed for military purposes, but Samantha worked with Princess Alara to improvise. The crystal formations themselves provided natural protection. The researchers contributed experimental shield technology they had been developing. As night deepened, the 3 moons aligned in the sky, creating the celestial event that should have been celebrated with festivities. Instead, the princesses gathered with their human protector, watching the horizon for signs of approaching enemies. The research outpost hummed with activity as scientists converted their equipment for defensive purposes. Samantha worked alongside Princess Ilara, organizing the researchers into groups each assigned specific tasks. The facility had never been intended as a military installation, but human ingenuity combined with Virillian technology created unexpected solutions. Princess Matha supervised a team modifying the crystal growth research equipment to serve as a perimeter defense system. The BUI crystals responded to specific frequencies they discovered. With careful calibration, they could trigger growth patterns that would entangle approaching vehicles without endangering the outpost itself. Princess Thorina established a command center within the main laboratory, maintaining the royal presence that kept the researchers focused. Despite their fear, the eldest princess had gained new respect for the human ambassador whose quick thinking had saved them all from capture. Samantha found Princess Zylara in the communications center, still monitoring for responses to their distress call. The youngest princess looked exhausted, her scales having lost their usual luster. "You should rest," Your Highness, Samantha suggested gently. "We may have difficult hours ahead." Zylara turned luminescent eyes toward the human. "I never understood why you studied our defenses so thoroughly," she admitted. "I thought perhaps you did not trust us. Now I see it was we who failed to trust you." Before Samantha could respond, the communication array activated. A voice spoke through static Alliance vessel. "Starlight responding to emergency transmission. We have received your coordinates and are adjusting course ETA 4 hours. Stand by for further communication." Hope surged through the outpost as word spread of the Alliance response, but 4 hours remained a dangerous window. The Dracor would not give up their pursuit of the royal family so easily. Princess Alara confirmed this fear. "Our sensors detect multiple Dracor ships approaching from the direction of the capital," she reported. "They will reach us in less than 2 hours. We need to buy time," Samantha stated, studying the tactical display. "The crystal forest gives us some protection, but once they identify our location, they will simply bombard the entire area." One of the senior researchers approached with a suggestion. "The outpost maintains several automated research drones," she explained. "They carry our standard energy signature. Perhaps we could use them as decoys." Samantha nodded quickly, grasping the potential. The drones modified to mimic the shuttle's signature could draw Dracor forces away from their actual position. She worked with the technical team reprogramming the drones while Princess Matha adjusted their power output to match the transport vessel. Within the hour, 5 drones launched, flying in different directions away from the outpost. Each carried a small portion of Virillian royal DNA, enough to trigger Dracor biosensors, but not enough to confirm which, if any, carried the actual princesses. The deception worked immediately. The approaching Dracor fleet split, pursuing the decoys into different sectors of the crystal forest. The respite gave them additional time to strengthen defenses. Princess Thorina gathered her sisters in the command center, Samantha included in the royal circle. "The Alliance vessels will arrive too late to prevent a ground assault," she stated. "We must prepare for direct conflict. The researcher teams have modified their equipment to serve as weapons, but few here have combat training." All eyes turned to Samantha, who, despite her diplomatic title, had demonstrated military expertise beyond what most humans revealed to their alien allies. She understood the unspoken request. "I can coordinate our defense, Your Highness," she told Princess Thorina. "But we should consider an alternative strategy. While the Dracor search for us, They leave their command ship vulnerable. Princess Alara leaned forward, intrigued. What are you suggesting? Ambassador, Samantha indicated the sensor display. The Dracor commander would remain aboard their flagship directing operations. The vessel maintained geosynchronous orbit above the capital using Chancellor Vex access codes to bypass planetary defenses. If we could reach the defense control center at this outpost, Samantha continued, we could potentially override the Chancellor's commands, temporarily reactivating the planetary shield. The Dracor fleet would be cut off from their ground forces. It is possible, Princess Matha acknowledged, but the defense controls are in a separate facility, half a kilometer from here, through the densest part of the crystal forest. Too dangerous for a large group. Princess, Ilara stated. But a small team might succeed, Samantha volunteered immediately. I am smaller than Virillians, able to move through the crystal formations with less risk. The princesses objected, concerned for her safety, after all she had done to protect them. But Samantha remained firm. Your Highnesses, you are the rightful leaders of your world, she reminded them. Your safety remains the priority. I will take 2 technical specialists who know the defense systems. The rest of you must prepare for the possibility that we fail. Princess Zylara suddenly stepped forward. I will go with the human, she declared. The youngest princess had specialized in crystallography. Her studies focused on the very formations that now surrounded them. I can predict growth patterns better than anyone here. Princess Tharina began to protest, but Zylara stood firm for perhaps the first time in her life. Not all courage is demonstrated in battle, sister, she said softly. Sometimes it is shown by facing fear for a greater purpose. The eldest princess reluctantly agreed. The 4-person team prepared, quickly gathering essential equipment. The 2 technicians provided specialized tools, while Samantha secured weapons borrowed from the outpost security personnel. Princess Zylara changed from her formal attire into a researcher's uniform, better suited for their journey, as they prepared to depart. Princess Tharina approached Samantha, speaking quietly. You have shown qualities we did not expect from a human. Ambassador adaptability, courage and loyalty beyond diplomatic requirement. My people have misjudged yours. Samantha accepted the acknowledgement with a respectful bow. We are more alike than different, Your Highness. Both our species wish to protect those we care for. She did not add that humans had learned their protective instincts through millennia of conflict and survival, something the peaceful Virillians had never experienced. The small team departed through a maintenance airlock designed to minimize disruption to the crystal forest. Princess Zylara led them, moving with surprising confidence among the towering formations, her scientific knowledge providing insight into safe passages. The massive crystals hummed with energy, responding to their presence with subtle movements. They progressed slowly but steadily, communicating through hand signals to avoid triggering aggressive crystal growth. The forest density increased as they approached the defense facility. Massive formations, creating a natural labyrinth that had protected the sensitive installation from discovery. Halfway to their destination, they froze at an unmistakable sound. Dracor voices. The enemy had landed search parties despite the crystal dangers. Samantha motioned the group to take cover behind a large formation, peering carefully around its edge. 4 Dracor soldiers examined a research marker left by previous expeditions. Their reptilian features showed frustration at the difficult terrain, but they continued methodical scanning patterns that would eventually detect the small team. Samantha assessed their options. Fighting would create noise, triggering the crystals. Waiting meant certain discovery. She glanced at Princess Zylara, who studied the formations with intense concentration. The princess pointed to a specific crystal, then mimicked a throwing motion. Understanding dawned. Samantha removed a small tool from her pack, and on Zylara's signal, threw it at the indicated crystal. The tool struck with a clear ringing sound. The crystal responded immediately, growing new shards with explosive speed. The Dracor soldiers looked up too late as crystal spears erupted beneath them. 2 were impaled instantly. The others fired weapons in panic, their energy. Blasts causing chain reactions throughout the forest. Samantha led the team quickly away from the chaos, using the distraction to gain distance. The defense facility appeared ahead, a low dome structure designed to blend with the crystal landscape. The technicians worked quickly to bypass security measures, gaining them entry to the automated complex. Inside, the facility appeared abandoned, its systems operating on autonomous protocols. The technicians moved to the main control center, Princess Zylara assisting with access codes that required royal authorization. Samantha secured the perimeter, watching for signs of pursuit. The defense grid came online, displays showing the position of Dracor ships in orbit. The technicians worked frantically to bypass the Chancellor's override commands, inserting new security protocols. Princess Zylara provided final authorization, her royal DNA unlocking the highest system levels. The planetary shield can be reactivated, one technician announced, but only for approximately 10 minutes before the Chancellor's codes reassert control. That will be enough, Samantha decided, looking at the orbital display. Activate on my mark. She opened communication with the research outpost. Princess Tharina responded immediately. We are under attack. Ambassador Dracor forces have discovered our location. The moment has come, Your Highness, Samantha replied. We are activating the shield now. When it engages, the Dracor flagship will be cut off from ground forces. The Alliance vessels should arrive during the window of opportunity. Alliance vessels descended through the atmosphere, their imposing presence forcing remaining Dracor troops to scatter. The flagship of the fleet, the Celestial Guardian, positioned itself above the research outpost, its massive hull gleaming in the light of the three moons. The Dracor flagship attempted to flee, but smaller Alliance interceptors surrounded it, cutting off escape. Inside the outpost, celebration erupted as Samantha and her team returned safely. The princesses gathered in the command center, now joined by Alliance officers. Princess Tharina addressed the assembled group, her royal dignity fully restored. Today we witnessed treachery from one we trusted, but also unexpected courage from one we barely knew, she announced formally. Her gaze fell on Samantha, who stood quietly, despite her torn clothing and visible exhaustion. Ambassador Samantha of Earth has demonstrated the true meaning of galactic cooperation. The Alliance Admiral, a tall being from the Tyranni species, stepped forward. The Dracor commander has been captured along with Chancellor Vex. Their conspiracy has been revealed. Intercepted communications show they planned to force the Virillian Empire into isolation, breaking the Alliance and allowing Dracor expansion. Princess Ilara frowned. How did the Dracor convince our Chancellor to betray his own people? The Admiral activated a holographic display showing communications between Vex and the Dracor. The Chancellor believed he was preserving Virillian purity by removing your world from Alliance influence, he thought, to protect your culture from what he called contamination, particularly from human influence. The Dracor, of course, never intended to honor their agreement. They would have conquered your world once the Alliance connection was severed. Samantha listened silently, understanding the Chancellor's fears, though not his methods. Many species viewed humans with suspicion, seeing only their evolutionary history of conflict without recognizing how that history had forged their resilience. Recovery operations have begun, the Admiral continued. The capital is being secured and the planetary defense system fully restored. The royal palace suffered significant damage, but the crystal structures are already regenerating. The Dracor fleet has retreated from this sector as the briefing continued. Samantha slipped away, finding a quiet observation dome where she could view the crystal forest now glittering under the aligned moons. The spectacular celestial event that should have been celebrated with festivals instead had witnessed attempted conquest and unexpected heroism. Princess Zylara joined her. A short time later, the youngest princess had changed back into formal attire, though she moved differently now. With newfound confidence, you missed the most important announcement. Ambassador, she said softly. The Alliance Council has called for an emergency session. They wish to re-evaluate human participation. Samantha turned worried. This meant restrictions on human involvement. But Princess Zylara smiled. Not to limit your role, but to expand it. My sister has proposed that humans be granted full membership status rather than provisional. The events of today will be presented as evidence of your species. Value. The news stunned Samantha. Full membership had been considered decades away for humans who were still viewed as newcomers to interstellar society. What changed your sister's mind? She asked. Zylara gestured to the crystal formations visible through the dome. They appear fragile, easily shattered, but that very fragility creates strength. When broken, they grow back stronger, adapting to new conditions. She turned to Samantha. My people have evolved in peace. Protected by technology and diplomacy, we became like perfect crystals, beautiful but unchanging. Your species evolved through challenge, through breaking and rebuilding. You possess an adaptability we lack. The observation dome door opened again as the other princesses entered. Princess Thorina approached Samantha. We have discussed your actions today, Ambassador. She spoke formally, but warmth showed in her luminescent eyes. Your courage and quick thinking saved not only our lives but potentially our entire civilization. Princess Ilara the warrior stepped forward. In recognition of your service, you are to be awarded the Crystal Star, our highest honor for valor. No human has ever received this distinction. Samantha bowed deeply, honored by the recognition. But she felt compelled. To speak honestly, I did only what any human might do. Your Highnesses, we evolved as protectors. Our history, though marked by conflict, taught us to defend those we consider allies. Princess Maitha the scientist studied Samantha with newfound interest. Perhaps that is why the Alliance needs human perspective, she suggested. The galactic community has enjoyed peace for so long, we forgot the vigilance required to maintain it. Your species remembers. 2 days later, Samantha stood before the full royal court in the partially restored palace. The grand hall had been quickly rebuilt, its crystal architecture already growing to replace damaged sections. Alliance representatives from a dozen worlds attended the ceremony, many seeing a human for the first time. King Zeltharan, ruler of the Virilian Empire, presented the crystal star, personally placing the shimmering medallion around Samantha's neck. The award caught light from the 3 moons visible through the repaired ceiling, sending rainbow patterns across the assembled dignitaries. Ambassador Samantha of Earth. The king proclaimed, his voice resonating through the hall. Today marks a new understanding between our peoples. For generations we viewed humans as primitive newcomers to galactic society. We saw only your history of conflict, failing to recognize how that history forged resilience and courage. The very qualities that saved my daughters and our world. Samantha accepted the honor with appropriate humility, though pride swelled within her. Not merely personal pride, but pride for her species, whose unique evolutionary path had created qualities no other Alliance member possessed. The king continued, Chancellor Vex betrayed us because he feared human influence. He saw only the potential for disruption, not the capacity for protection. His narrow vision nearly destroyed everything our ancestors built. We will not make that mistake again. Princess Thorina stepped forward, standing beside her father. From this day forward, humans shall hold equal status within the Alliance, she announced. No longer provisional members, but full partners in our galactic community. The announcement sent ripples of surprise through the assembled dignitaries. Some nodded in approval. Others whispered in concern, but none could deny the evidence before them. A single human had accomplished what an entire royal guard could not. Later, as celebration continued in the grand hall, Princess Zylara found Samantha on a balcony overlooking the crystal gardens, now beginning to recover from battle damage. The youngest princess had changed during their adventure, growing from a sheltered royal to a confident young leader. You appear troubled, Ambassador, she observed. Despite the honors you have received, Samantha smiled slightly. I was thinking about Chancellor Vex. His fear of human influence was not entirely unfounded. Your culture values harmony, stability, tradition. Our presence will bring change, whether intended or not. Princess Zylara considered this. Perhaps change is what we need, she replied. The crystal forest grows strongest after disruption. Our civilization has remained unchanged for too many generations. We preserved what was but ceased creating what could be. She gestured toward the night sky where Alliance vessels maintained protective orbit. Your species reminds us that the universe contains both beauty and danger. To survive, we must appreciate the first while preparing for the second." Samantha nodded understanding. The wisdom in the young princess' words human history contained terrible conflicts but also remarkable achievements. Resilience forged through adversity, strength developed through challenge. The very qualities that had once made other species fear, humans might now help protect the galactic community they had joined in the days that followed. Samantha would help coordinate recovery efforts. Her diplomatic role expanded to include security advisement. The Alliance Council formally ratified human elevation to full membership status. A process originally expected to take decades completed in a single historic session. As for the 7 princesses, they emerged from the crisis transformed. Princess Thorina embraced a more inclusive vision for her future reign. Princess Alara developed new defensive strategies incorporating human tactical approaches. Princess Matha began collaborative research with Earth scientists, combining Virilian theory with human innovation, and Princess Zylara, perhaps most changed of all, established a cultural exchange program, bringing human artists, writers, and philosophers to Zelthor. The youngest princess understood before anyone that true strength came not from isolation, but from diversity, not from fearing difference, but from embracing it. When Samantha eventually returned to Earth, she carried not only the crystal star, but a new understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos. Their evolutionary path, once seen as primitive, had created unique qualities no other species possessed. Adaptability, resilience, courage. The very traits that had once made others fear humans now made them essential allies in an unpredictable universe. The story spread throughout the Alliance. How the alien princesses were shocked when only the human had the courage to save them. But the greater shock came in realizing that what they once feared about humans might be exactly what the galaxy needed most.